Welcome back to another episode of Viall Files. I'm your host, Nix. Nix. I messed up my own name.
Hello, Schnicks.
Hi, Schnicks. Shug is with us.
Hi. Thank you for having me back yet again.
Yeah, Rochelle still missing.
Where is the girl?
She's on vacation, but it's been a while. I'm starting a bit to be concerned.
I honestly don't feel concerned. I feel very happy for her. And I just keep imagining her in these exotic places because you mentioned earlier her contact. She is in contact with us, but it's slighter and slighter.
Yeah,
I know.
I think she's really...
She in the Congo?
I wonder if she might not come back.
Well,
I think probably because I'm a really tough... I'm not her boss by any means, but like...
Are you a tough host
I'm
on
tough,
her?
I wonder. No. I think she's just like, screw it. This is great. Wherever I am is better than here.
Listen to you. She loves this show. She loves everything that we talk about, and she's just that. I just miss her snarky little voice so much.
I do. We made some fashion choices, Suge and I, today.
We really did. We didn't drive together, which we usually do, and we both hopped out of our cars. And
I know I made a fashion choice.
I did too.
Shirt, and I feel like you did, even though it's quite. I don't want to say basic in a negative way. It's a sweatshirt and it's a jeans and a tennis shoes, but yet there's a certain flair to it.
Yes, and I have my hair in a half-up ponytail. I have big hoop earrings on. I'm wearing a hoodie. It's a crop.
You look like
It's more of like
a 90s dance music video.
Thank you. I'm
living
a hip-hop girl. I grew up in hip-hop, and I'm trying. I need more of it back again. And I've been watching all these amazing documentaries, and there's all this hip-hop music in my head, and I'm like, where have I gone? And so that's why I'm wearing my big hoops and my hoodie today.
Really excited about today's guest, Grace Helbig. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I just say it really fast.
That rolled off your tongue very nicely.
Well, knowing it's my last name right, so I feel like I have a slight pass by not being quite sure. Grace is wonderfully funny, entertaining. She's got a couple hit podcasts. She's done some acting. She's big in the YouTube space.
The YouTube space.
She's a big YouTuber.
We're getting very big in the YouTube space too, so we're just trying to share platforms with dear Gracie.
So Grace is out there. She's out in the dating world. She's a big Bachelor fan. I have a lot of opinions. I know we don't try to talk about the Bachelor too much, but I have some strong opinions about this episode. I know you do.
I do.
I'm excited to hear what Grace has to say. So I can't wait for that. I did. Suge and I went to a comedy show last night. It was a fundraiser. What was it for? What were we raising money for?
It was for a really great organization.
It was for kids in LA.
It's for kids in LA, but it's an organization that really pushes kids to get active in their communities. The whole thing is based around just being an active participant and making change in the world. And it really took over on the East Coast, and now they're bringing it out here to the West Coast.
More importantly, I saw my celebrity crush there. I got a little nervous.
Not more importantly.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Not more. You're right. My true colors coming out.
It's okay.
More importantly, you know what? The kids, they're fine. But my love life is numero uno. Only to find out that Suge is not a huge fan. But what I found very interesting is your admission of not necessarily having a specific reason. Or do you?
I kind of do, but it's not really valid. Like, I know that my reason is delusional.
I love this admission.
You do?
Yes, I think it's very relatable to be like, I just don't like this person, and I don't necessarily know why. I don't know if it comes from.
I think it's a jealousy thing, and it's not jealousy out of, the typical like looks or any of those things. We're very different in our body types and our stature. You guys have some mutual friends? We have some mutual friends. Yeah. And that's where, I miss those friends, and she gets a lot of those friends. And I feel jealous of that.
Don't those friends want to hang out with you? Is that why you hang out with me?
It's a Hollywood actor thing because, you're on a movie with people, you become family with them, and then they go on to another movie, and then they make a new family with their new family people. And I missed my family, and I saw them really take to this new family member in like a obsession kind of way. And I wanted that obsession to be back on me.
Well, I'm glad you're part of my family. I know I'm like the B team.
You're moving up to A team.
But, listen, I just want you to know that if I ever get to go out with Miss Crush, you will never be replaced.
Really? Will you tell me all of the details of what goes on between you and her?
Well, we're not going to, I'm doubt I'll ever have this opportunity, but I don't know. I couldn't help but wonder if I don't want to be the delusional person who's like super into me, but I couldn't help but feel like there was some eye contact.
I just don't know when that happened because when we saw her, no offense at all. You're looking at me angry, but I'm saying when we saw her, her back was turned. She passed behind me and her back was turned.
There was and then her friends walked past and like looked. I don't know. I feel like.
Well, we're pushing Nick today to reach out to said person.
Anyways. Yeah.
Are you feeling shy?
I'll probably do it, but
I think you should do it for me because I need to become friends with this person because I have no reason to dislike her other than that.
I think that's very honest of you to say. I feel like a lot of people, when they really get down to it, I think we all sometimes just don't like someone and we don't know why. And I think it's really honest to say like envy, jealousy, whatever, figuring out why we have a reaction to someone without necessarily a reason is a very honest thing to do. I think we sometimes hold on to, it's funny because it sounds like you had this feeling and you obviously don't go around expressing it because it's not like you're that passionate about it. But when it came up, you're like, you had a noticeable reaction. I was like, oh my God, what is
I know, and it's very unlike
What
me.
is going on
I'm
here?
Very open and loving and accepting of all. And then you said this person's name and you've rolled your eyes to me many occasions. And for some reason, my eyes hit the back of my head because I was like, oh, it just triggered all of these other feelings about me losing people that, not losing people that I love to her, but, in my own delusional fantasy kind of mind.
It's safe to say she has nothing really to do with...
It is nothing to do with her.
And yet you have this feeling. And again, the only thing I think it's great to bring up is because I bet everyone listening has decided for whatever reason that I don't know. I just have a feeling about him. I don't like him and whatever.
Yes. But I encourage you to do the work as I do to figure out why those feelings come up and to be aware that it's really not about that person. And I truly can't wait to meet her when you marry her or when you're just boning her, whatever it is. I can't wait. And
I think I'm only destroying my chances at this point.
I don't know.
What would you do if you were being talked about in this way, only to eventually down the road realize, and no, we're not saying anything negative. I mean, I'm certainly not. I'm a huge crush.
But like I'm admitting some stuff now.
But if you were to go back and listen and be like, I feel like, hey, there's this podcast out there and I couldn't help but wonder if they're talking about you, and you go and listen, how would you respond to this conversation?
Honestly, not very badly, because I think we're being honest and respectful. And so I think if I was being very honest, I would probably get a nice little shock to my ego. I'd be like, oh, they're talking about me. That's nice. Ooh. And then I would also probably want to find out and like spread love on the girl that doesn't like me for no reason. Like that's who I am. I would be like, hi, honey, I love you.
Well, we can only hope. Anyways.
I don't like it. I don't like it for some reason. And it's true. It's triggering me now. Like the idea of you, now I have to hear you talk about her and you're going to text her. And then we're going to like go through this whole thing where I walk you through like finding out if you can date her and stuff. And so now we're going to talk about her all the time. And I'm like, yes, we are. We talked about her so much last night.
No, come on. Don't. A little bit. We also talked a lot. I also heard from an ex out of nowhere.
You did?
Who was like, do you want to hang out? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. And
oh my gosh, there was a moment last night when we were standing on the street and we were downtown and we were waiting for an Uber and you were so frustrated and you yelled, fuck! And I was like, wow, yeah, don't you remember?
Yeah.
And then I caught your eyes and I'm like, what is happening? Like, and you're like, I don't know. Look at how it's causing a reaction in me. And that was very honest of you too.
I heard from someone I used to date and they very vulnerably asked if I wanted to hang out. And we had talked. It's not like we catch up from time to time, but like as friends. And it was like, do you want to hang out? And I didn't know what to say. I presumed that they wanted to maybe hang out potentially in a romantic way. And I didn't necessarily want to, but I like being their friend, and I didn't know what to say. I was very frustrated about like being put in that situation, and I wanted to be direct and honest. So I replied back as friends for sure.
Yeah, we did great on that text. Just so the girls listening know, boys do what girls do too. Totally. Not just you, but like other male friends of me. What should I text? How does this look? Do I do an exclamation point? Yeah. Where do I put the comma? Should I put an emoji?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally. Anyways, let's take a quick break.
I feel like we just spilled tea all over ourselves.
We probably did, but I don't think we have.
I like it.
Yeah, the jingle. But anyways, I think coming up, we're going to bring on Grace. Let's do a quick break and then get ready for some very wild and entertaining conversation with our dear friend, Grace Helbig.
Woo! Can I just mention the name of the charity that we went to last night? Because I think it's so important, and I think that you guys would really love to kind of look into this. It's called Action Civics CA. So look into it. They really are doing such good for the community and just kind of for the overall future leaders of our world. So check that out. Action Civics
more important
CA.
Than my love life. Just to be clear.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time for Nick to sell you things you really need, but you don't own yet.
I am in love with Scentbird. I kid you not.
Nick and I are obsessed.
Every time I travel,
okay,
which is a lot,
I have this ongoing debate of taking my cologne or not.
Right.
For fear of having, I don't want to check my bag often.
And you don't want them to throw it away.
I don't want to throw it away.
No, it's expensive.
It's like a whole deal. Scentbird solves this problem. If I have like a sleepover at a friend's, maybe,
you want to bring your cologne?
I want to smell good.
Okay. You do. You are known for smelling good.
How I smell
is? Yeah. Is that your signature?
Well, I don't know if it's my signature, but I don't smell bad.
No, you don't. Okay, so Scentbird, tell me more. What is it?
You get to pick different scents, and they send it to you in these cute little spray bottles.
It's like these little travel mini things. You get a buffet of scents.
You can switch it up.
Love
Like
that.
I got a summer scent that's grapefruit, and then I want like a little mustier scent for the evening.
Like a heavier, wintery smell.
I do that. When I travel, I always pick a scent to smell like a different woman on that trip.
Ooh, shug.
I know.
Yeah, and now, listen, and if you happen to lose it, no big deal.
Exactly.
It's not like it's super affordable.
Yep. It's a 30-day supply. 120 sprays.
It's only $7.50 per fragrance.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's less than a burrito.
That's amazing.
So how can they get it?
Well, you can get Scentbird with an exclusive offer just for our listeners. You can get 50% off your first month today. That's $7.50, as I mentioned, for your first fragrance. $7.50.
That is a steal.
Go to Scentbird.com/Viall and use my code Viall, Viall, for 50% off your first month. And again, that's SCENTBIRD.com/VIALL for you to try your first cologne or perfume.
I got
for just $7.50.
I'm sorry, but I'm blown away. We have the website up here. These are like all of the choice scents that you want.
Versace,
No, they have
Plus,
so
Dolce
many.
Gabbana, Tom Ford.
I don't like giving away my scent because it's
Which
a
is
secret.
weird. Why is it a secret?
Because I don't want everyone smelling like me.
I actually gave him cologne. It was sitting around my apartment, but I had this very fancy cologne, and I bet it's still in the back of your car because you have a signature scent. I'm taking it back.
Indeed. I get a positive response from how I smell.
I know.
Yeah, you know what? It's a very personal thing. I get it. I understand not sharing.
Well, sign on, smell amazing. Hey, I'm really excited about Noom.
I am too.
Noom. I really like this name.
Noom. You know why I'm excited? Because I'm using it, baby.
And I personally think you look great.
Oh, thank you. I've already lost 3 pounds.
Guys, what is Noom?
You take a quiz and then they set you up with an app and where you can record all the stuff that you're eating. You get hooked up with a support team. You read articles about why you're eating when. I learned about why I have a fear of getting on the scale in the morning. It's a really comprehensive way to lose.
Psychology also
Yes.
with your diet and health.
Yeah, it's a super comprehensive way to reach your goal weight and just feel good in your body. It's all about confidence and
That's great.
feeling good. Yeah.
Well, when you eat, what you eat, all very important things. I do know
Yes.
this from my sister. Do they also help you with working out?
You track your steps on it.
Great.
And so, you try to just reach a goal of a certain activity. And you can set different goals. Like you could set a goal that you want to run a marathon or run a 5K.
So whatever it is, they're just helping you. It's kind of a holistic approach to
Exactly.
managing your well-being and weight.
So if you are a person who keeps going up and down, they're like helping you stop that
That's
pattern.
incredible.
Oh, that is truly wonderful. Nutrition. It's the number one step to living a healthy life.
Well, people, if you want to try Noom, if you're as excited about it as I am, you don't have to change it all in one day.
Nope.
That really is the key. You don't, because you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Small steps make big progress. Shavings make a pile, as
Your
they say.
favorite freaking phrase.
Wow, I'm new to that.
Sign
I'm
up
in.
for your trial today at Noom, NOOM.com/Viall. What do you have to lose? Well, wait. I feel like
He loves that part.
I feel like they wanted me to say that. Visit Noom.com/Viall to start your trial today. That's Noom.com/Viall. The last weight loss program you'll ever need.
Yeah. And if you're on Noom, our email, share it with me because I'm doing the same thing. We can do it
Yeah, let's
together.
hear your stories, people.
Now go buy the stuff.
Grace,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. We're starting a new segment on this show.
Okay.
Starting this new segment because I have a
Am I the
friend.
guinea pig for this?
You are.
Great.
You
Okay.
are.
Very exciting.
My friend has developed with some people a new game. It's called Do You Know Me?
Oh, okay.
And I've been trying to think of a cool game to incorporate, get our know guests a little bit.
Sure.
We talk a lot about relationships and dating.
Uh-huh.
And when my friend was telling me about their game, I was like, whoa, we played it. It's a great game. It's a conversation starter. It's real simple. It's just like getting to know your friends through basic and simple questions.
And what's the objective? Like, there's no real winner.
Yeah,
The win is that you get to know everyone.
Yeah, it's a kind of Cards Against Humanity, apples to apples type of thing.
Yeah.
Like a cocktail party, get to know.
Got
It's a
it.
conversation starter, random ass questions. I really liked it when we were playing because I couldn't help but think, this is like from a dating situation or just getting to know people. Like it's just, I think people miss out on realizing how sometimes real simple questions create really interesting conversations if you listen and know how to ask follow-up questions. And you know who I thought about when I was playing this game, Shug?
I do know.
Our friend Nate. Nate, you wouldn't know this,
Oh.
Grace. Is great. Nate has called in a couple times and he's trying to find the love of his life.
Okay.
And he's relying on us.
Oh, so you guys are his yentas.
Yes,
And
we're his yentas.
he's called back a few times. We're giving him some notes. He's a really genuine and sweet guy.
That's amazing.
He's a bit rigid.
Okay.
And he likes,
Yeah.
he's a lawyer. He likes to ask some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been out in the field a lot, so this is kind of his first coming out and really putting effort into meeting
he's
and getting
asking
to know
some very
people.
pointed questions. And,
Okay.
I'm trying to get him to just
Relax a
soften
little.
it,
Yeah.
soften it.
Yeah.
I feel like this game is a great game for anyone in a social situation. So we're going to play.
Okay.
Do You Know Me?
Do you know me?
BetterHelp. Yeah, that's right. Our
We
friends at BetterHelp are
love
back.
them. Mhm.
They're here to have you have great mental health through professional therapy.
Ugh.
This is so
Not the
needed
type of crap
and so
therapy you're getting from
wonderful.
us.
Yeah. The bottom of the
I love
barrel.
that you
Bottom-
call this therapy. Yes, it is. It's advice. It's advice. It is.
I think we're doing a good job. But
Wait, didn't a doctor once say to you?
I will say when I do questions with Nick, I get at least once a week, I get a medical professional who DMs me and says, I'm a doctor. You're doing great.
But I will say a lot of people write in, they say, hey, I can't afford a therapist, so I'm writing to you. So you don't have to say that excuse anymore. You can go to
There you
BetterHelp
go.
and get professional help.
They help with anxiety, depression, grief, sleep. family issues, relationships. They help with everything.
And you can text, chat, phone, and video and start communicating in under 24 hours.
It's so amazing. And this is very open-minded people because they were even conscious enough to add the LGBTQ community on there. So everybody can reach out. Please do.
Yeah, and worldwide. They can
Worldwide.
They'll deal with all of us.
Iceland, call up.
Nick's obsessed with having worldwide fans.
Yeah. Well, how do you get better help? Because BetterHelp, best of all, better health is truly affordable. Viall listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code Viall. So why not get started today? Why not, guys?
Why not?
Go to betterhealth.com/Viall. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs to get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/VIALL. Get better help. We're going to play a quick round.
Okay.
Here we go.
First question. Can Grace,
Suddenly very nervous.
and do not answer these right now, Grace. Answer them to yourself. We're going to answer
Oh, you guys try
yes
to
or
guess.
no. Yes.
Okay.
So this is how you play.
Okay.
Can Grace name 3 presidents on Mount Rushmore?
I say no, looking
Well,
at your face.
based on her face, but that doesn't mean she can't come up with
That was
it.
my neutral resting
What's your
face.
guess, Nick? Can she yes or no?
Well, we're not going to answer quite yet. We're going to go through.
Gotcha.
I want to see who I want to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got my answer. I want to try to beat you.
Okay.
This is the game. This question came up. I wasn't prepared to ask this question because does Grace own a magic bullet? I wasn't comfortable because I honestly thought this was a vibrator.
Oh, I mean,
He still doesn't know
I've
what
been
it is.
told it's not a vibrator.
what's your
doesn't
next
know.
guess?
I don't know, but I thought to myself, if I were to develop a vibrator, I think Magic Bullet would be a great name.
Yeah,
Also, if I were to nickname my dick Magic Bullet,
Yeah.
also great name.
Quick shot.
Bullets are small. Go on.
Not. That's true. Maybe I should rethink that. I don't know what it is. What is it?
You really don't know what it is?
A magic bullet?
Do you have any other guesses?
Is it a blender?
Yes. Very good.
It is.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Great.
So the
Is it
marketing-
specifically magic bullet or a blender?
That is the brand name of a type of like smoothie maker blender
Yeah, and
situation.
it's a little tiny one. They're
Does
great.
Grace
Yeah.
own a blender?
No, it's very specific to
specific.
Magic Bullet.
Okay.
It's a real thing.
They have infomercials that are upwards of 20 minutes long. They're fantastic.
Okay, now I want. Okay.
It's like a hungover.
I have my answer.
It's like a hungover woman with like a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and she's at a bed and breakfast,
have
and they're all
my
making
answer.
omelets. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Okay. All right. I have
Is
my
that
answer.
true?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the? I think it's for Magic Bullet. I'm thinking of a very specific one where all these like. They're basically like people from the game Guess Who all kind of gather around this like breakfast table in the morning, and they're all making breakfast, and they go about how easy it is with the Magic Bullet or one of those machines.
Wow. That is creative
Highly
marketing
recommend.
genius.
Well,
I'm into
here's what
that.
I've learned about Grace playing. Now,
I have
don't
great
know.
taste in
I
entertainment.
don't know if she owns a magic bullet yet. I have my guess, but I do know she appreciates a good creative commercial.
I really do.
Is that she can get sucked into the
narrative
tube?
was just too enticing. Yeah.
Does Grace pee in pools? Present, not have you ever.
Okay.
Is it a thing? Are you comfortable with being like, you know what? I don't want to get out.
Okay. I keep all my answers to myself.
Yeah, right now,
Okay.
yep. Was Grace part of the student council in high school?
Oh, look, now you're doing poker face. There's
I'm really playing.
Can you read that one?
I don't know if I want to.
What is it?
Oh, fine. Has Grace ever partied in a sports jersey, crop top, onesie, or bathing suit? Have you let loose without all your clothes on?
Okay.
Ooh, I like this one because I think this really tells us something about you.
Okay.
Has Grace ever rushed a fraternity or sorority? And finally, does Grace use an electric toothbrush?
Wow.
Really range
Yeah, you
of
guys are
questions.
really
All right.
gonna get the real me.
I think this tells us a lot about you, potentially.
Yeah.
I say you do own a magic bullet.
I say you do not own a magic bullet.
I do own a magic bullet.
Yeah!
I made a smoothie with it yesterday.
Really?
A real basic piece of trash.
I saw this passion in your eyes.
I made a smoothie, then I immediately put it in my refrigerator and didn't drink it at all.
No one describes a commercial and not purchasing. Like, no one gets that excited about a commercial they watched and not picked up.
I know.
Really
I don't know
recommend
why.
commercial.
I went with no. I have one too, by the way, and I do the same thing.
It's like set it and forget it. I don't own one of those, but Ron Popeil can sell the crap out of them.
I don't know it.
Neither do I.
That's a foreign language. Sorry.
Set it and forget it. You're an infomercial girl. I
at
love
one point
this.
in my life, there wasn't a lot of options at late night.
Yeah. I also think Grace can name 3 presidents on Mount Rushmore.
I said I'm saying no, just by your reaction.
I think you can do it.
I
Give it a
don't
shot.
know. Okay. George Washington.
Yes.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Ben Franklin.
No. He's not. He
He's
also
not a president.
wasn't a president.
Teddy
Okay.
Roosevelt.
1-1. 1-1.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay.
I think you have peed in a pool. I don't think I don't think you pee in pools anymore. So I'm going to say no. Grace does not pee in pools.
I'm also saying no. You do not pee in pools.
You are correct.
Okay.
I do not. I have my friend and I share a house in Palm Springs, and we have a pool there, and we very vehemently do not pee in it.
Oh, it's like
out of respect for ourselves and for other
your
people
guests.
that are there. I was like scared into peeing in pools when I was younger because my parents told me that our like family friends that had a pool had that system that turns the water purple if you pee in it.
Terrible.
And that was enough for me to be shamed into never peeing in a pool again.
I was at a party once and we were all on mushrooms and we're having the greatest time, and we were in the pool for like 9 hours or something. Like we just didn't get out of the pool. It was heated. It's the perfect place. And one of my friends was a lifeguard growing up, and I had to pee at a certain point. And I was like, okay, I'm just getting out to go pee. Oh, I wish I didn't have to get out. And he was like, oh, we're all just peeing in the back corner of the pool.
that corner. Is
Yeah.
it doesn't flow?
As if, no, he was suggesting, truly.
Like,
And
don't you do it here? God, no. Oh my God, are you disgusting?
And don't
No,
swish
please,
a lot.
Just go 6 feet over that way. Meanwhile, the other friend's doing a cannonball into the pool,
Yeah.
completely dispersing all the water in the pool.
yeah.
How old were you?
Oh my God, like 29?
Oh, full on adulthood.
Oh,
Theory
100%.
behind it.
Well, he was sure. And
Under
it
the
was his
substance of-
pool, so it was fine.
It was
But he
good.
was sure that the chemicals killed the pee, but I think that
Oh,
was
that
the
could be
drugs
true.
talking.
Who knows?
I don't know.
But I love that his qualifications was that he was a lifeguard.
Yes.
And so that's how he knew
Hey,
that there's
I-
a spot in which
I'm a
the pee can
lifeguard.
happen.
Listen,
Trust
the truth
me.
is, if you say anything
Shout
with
out
conviction
to
at first,
Evan.
people will believe it.
Shout out to Evan Goldberg for that.
I want to say you were in the student council. I want to say you're capable of it, but I'm going to say no.
Let me look at you.
Take me in.
I think you
say
could have been
you-
president. You
I
have president
say-
potential, but I don't think you did it.
I say you didn't choose to. I say no, not on the student council.
I was not on the student council.
Did you regret ever? Did
No,
you think about it?
no, never.
Okay,
I'm
so
pretty chill, not having any of those responsibilities.
we're still tied.
Oh, good.
I think you certainly have an electric toothbrush.
I think you don't have an electric toothbrush.
I do have an electric toothbrush.
Probably because she's done an ad for it at some point.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I don't think you get that point. You had insider information.
No. I'm being honest that I have never seen a Grace Helbig toothbrush commercial.
But did you know that she does those?
I'm aware that she has a social following and it's very entertaining. And I knew that she's the type of person that a electronic toothbrush company would say she's the type of person we would want
I
repping
got
our
teeth.
brand.
Sometimes I clean them.
Yeah.
And I can hawk that product.
Yeah. Come on. I don't think that's
Fine.
an advantage, Nick.
All right. I don't know.
Reading my own. Has Grace ever rushed for a fraternity or sorority? I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
Nope.
Shoot.
I did not. Not at all.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? I'm a Canadian and I don't get it.
It's like when you decide that you want to be part of a sorority or a fraternity, like I don't even know exactly how it works. The Greek life on my college was so small and like minimal. But I guess like they choose you pay them money to make friends.
I don't think Grace is a conformer. And I think it's a very conforming thing. Not to knock it if you
Also,
are out
well-
there. And it's a sense of community.
Of course, you find your community. I grew up with brothers too, so the idea of like having like a sisterhood was like so out of my like
Okay.
social awareness at that time too.
3-1.
Wow.
I already won because there's only one question left. Has Grace ever partied in a sports jersey? I'm gonna say yes, or crop top, or onesie, or bathing suit. I don't like or bathing suit. Actually, I just want to know sports jersey.
Wait, is this just sports?
Just sports jersey. I'm gonna say yes still.
Yeah, of course.
No, I haven't.
Really?
I find it weird to wear a jersey of another man's name on your back.
Oh, see, I went to the Harlem Globetrotters, immediately bought a jersey, and then proceeded to go out and WeHo for the rest of the day.
Fun.
And it was very fun.
I would party in like a WNBA jersey. I just find like as a guy, it would be weird for me to be like, and I'm a huge sports fan, be like Aaron Rodgers jersey and just.
I feel like if Brad Pitt had a jersey, you would wear
totally
it.
wear it.
See?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm a big Brad Pitt fan.
Get some Brad Pitt merch.
I do feel like we're having conversations.
You guys really got to know me.
We did.
Wow.
We're gonna keep playing this game. It's a great kick.
It's a great game. Kudos to your friends for coming up with that game.
That's all for Do You Know Me?
Mm-hmm. Turns out you kind of do.
Friendly segment. I feel like we know a lot about Grace. I think it's actually out now. You can find it on Amazon. If it's not out quite yet, refresh your icon because it's coming out soon. I think it should be out now, but check it out on Amazon. It's Nate, I think you should pick it up. I think it's
very fun.
It's meant. I think like they have the idea to play it in group.
Very
super low
stakes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Doesn't make you feel interrogated.
Well, let's think about it like a date too. It's like I think a lot of times when you're on a date, it's always the same hardcore questions. So tell me about yourself.
I think when you're on a date, there's always like
my whole self.
Yeah, I feel like there's a spectrum of you either ask like too intense questions or too surface questions, and these are a little bit sillier and more fun that can get deep if you want them.
Do you like sweatshirts? Do you call sweatshirts sweaters? I know Canadians do.
Or jumpers or something.
Yeah, and then like, what's your Uber score rating? That's a question in there.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. But you also, it's easier in the confines of a game because what if you went on a date and right off the bat they're like, hey, what's your Uber score rating? I would be like, well, listen, there's a story behind it.
Yeah, there were a couple nights that were out of my control.
It wasn't me. It was
I paid for a friend to drive home.
Yeah. Huge mistake.
There are some really great pushy questions in there too. Like there was one like, did you throw up in the last 2 weeks, or have you peed your pants? There's some that are also a little uncomfortable, which is nice too.
And we're gonna ask our next guest these questions. So I think we need a jingle for this segment.
You should.
Oh man, you love this segment, and I love it too.
I like segments.
You do like segments.
I like it makes
you
me
like
feel
a jingle.
more official.
You can task the audience to submit some jingles.
I love that idea.
Yeah, crowdsource.
Yeah.
So Grace, tell us about yourself.
You know who could really use this game?
Who?
All of those contestants on The Bachelorette who are really struggling to get to know Hannah.
You want to get
what
right
a segue.
I just can't wait.
Just want to get into it. I have very strong feelings. Can we also, before we get to this episode, Grace, are you familiar with the scandalous story that is just riddled pop culture news of Jed having a girlfriend?
Oh, that's what's happening right now? I've heard little like inklings about someone on the show having
I have
a girlfriend.
some strong opinions about this in the sense that, so the story is, and I believe the story. Okay. It's interesting. I've thought about this. I tend to believe the women that come forward than the men who have come forward and accused the women of similar things. I don't know why I thought about that. I'm just admitting bias.
Sure.
But the story is that Jed, the country music singer
singer
who
sorry, I got opinions.
who confessed to Hannah, hey, listen, I just want to be honest. When I originally signed up, I'm a singer and I thought I was going to be for my platform.
Okay. So he has already admitted.
He admitted that, which sounded very honest.
I haven't watched the first couple episodes. I started in on like episode 4.
It's fine. I'm sure.
But out of context, I can glean that a little bit, that he came on there for his own benefit.
And at the time, he actually got some props of what a way to say.
Put it out there.
What a way to put it out there. Except that, like, I found it really interesting as someone who's been on there. Listen, every season, this is not new news of like the person is. It already happened earlier this season. And being before I had Tasha on from Colton season, like a month or so ago, and there was a story about same thing. Some guy kind of accused her of hanging out and breaking whatever. And I defended Tayshia, and I don't regret it in the sense because you asked the questions from Tayshia, and it was like she got divorced, she started hanging out with this guy, and they were like kind of dating but not official. And then like as she was going through this process, she let him know and be like, "Hey, and then she ended it. And my defense to Tayshia was like, when it comes to the casting process, it takes long. You don't even know what this really experience is that you're signing up for, and do you like completely put your dating life on hold because like." It's so weird, but once you get asked to do it, then you kind of like have to figure out your situation. And I was pretty critical of this guy being like, what is he coming forward for? Like he just wants attention or whatever. And I would argue that most people who go on every season, I bet half the cast, even though when they're like, are you single? Yes, they're like hanging out with people, they're dating, they're doing things. And like, I think it's very easy for the person on the other side to feel slighted by this. But this story, this guy,
is very different.
Yeah, what is this story?
It sounds like he was dating this girl for only 4 months. So that's like, okay, you're only dating for like 4 months. But like, there was professions of love.
They just were on a trip to Bahamas or something.
It sounded
together.
like
they're
and
traveling
he did like
together.
a whole
after
presentation on the trip of I'm in love with you, I love you.
After he got
Stick
asked,
with me through
according to
this.
the story, after he got asked to go on, then they took the trip.
Oh, it was after he was asked to go on.
I mean, and then they spent the night together before he left to LA. When he boarded the plane, he says, "I'll love you." He asked her to wait for her. He was like, he went all in. I mean, he made it sound very strategic. And it's interesting because I think there is a very fine line because the people who like, oh, they broke up with me for this, there's so much hearsay and like perception of like, you could be hanging out with someone and going on dates and be like, hey, like, I'm going to be honest, if I get asked to do this, I'm going to do it. And again, like, I'm pretty much give all those people a pass because it's like, you don't really know what, it's like,
it's not confirmed that you're for sure going on the show.
Yeah. I've had people ask me, I mentioned on the show, like I've had people come, hey Nick, I'm dating this person. I got asked to go on. I'm going through the casting process. I love my boyfriend. I'm like, don't do it. If you love your boyfriend, like this is not
pretty clear.
Don't mess with it. Like yes, this is an opportunity. People, everyone who goes on for the opportunity, of course.
Yeah.
But when you go on, once you decide to go on, you have to like be open to the process. Well, and Jed has, and so I'm just like, this motherfucker.
And he didn't tell Hannah any of this either, right? Like that's a huge part of it. Half-truths. He's telling her, yes, listen, I saw the opportunity. That's why I did it at first, but now I'm really here for you. Yeah. But at no point was he like, I also left a girl waiting at the airport and told her that I loved her, but now I don't love her anymore and I love you, or whatever his story would be.
What do you like Jed at all? It sounds like you don't even like him before you heard the story.
I liked Jed initially because he seemed laid back and chill and not super attention seeking. But this most recent episode, there's no
scene with him not playing.
He was standing outside of that window with his
I was
guitar.
like, I can't sing or play any instrument, but I'm pretty sure I could write a better song than what he sang to her at that window. I was like cringing so hard and like covering my face with a pillow because I understand you want an opportunity to have your voice and quote unquote talent heard by the world. That's what YouTube is there for too. I don't understand why you would go on a dating show to try to get an opportunity for a music career.
That I would agree with that. When I get asked by people now who are out in LA, you know, living in LA, you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I want to be, if you truly want to be, I know that I went on The Bachelor and now I'm doing some acting and trying to act, but like I fell in it. It's a very unique path. I didn't plan on being an actor when I signed up for the show. But for the people who are trying to be musicians and whatever they're trying to be in the entertainment business, to do The Bachelor is
a weird choice.
It's a step in the other direction, quite honestly.
I'm like, why don't you audition for The Voice or for American Idol or for any of these outlets that actually do provide opportunities for a music career?
Super weird. And so also part of the story is apparently, according to the story.
Where's this story coming from?
Well, all over now, but it was originally People magazine and from this girl.
From this girl, okay.
But more seems to be coming out. Apparently his manager signed him up for the show.
Oh. That's curious.
That's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And so this episode, there's almost no scene in which Jed didn't have a musical instrument in his hand.
I feel like
he's like holding a guitar. Fuck Luke P. Fuck Luke P.
I know, he just has like a tiny ukulele in all of his talking head interviews. Yeah, it was, I feel like he knows that his time is running out, so he's literally not allowing them to film him without playing an instrument.
His time is running out.
I think maybe he's getting nervous. Everyone's nervous. Like the pool gets smaller and smaller.
Sure.
That I think that he's like, I only have so much time allotted to me to get my actual music, the thing I came on here to do, out there to the world.
I've been spoiler free so far. I've heard some like rumors, but nothing's been confirmed, so I really don't know. And I've heard mixed rumors, so I really am, which has been fun that way. And reading the story, I can't help but wonder if maybe Jed wins, because apparently, according to the story, after the show, we can all agree that Jed's going far. He's top 4 for sure, right? Like after the show, he ran into the said girl, and they had like he didn't reach out. He didn't follow up with her. Like her story is, I had this boyfriend. He left for the show. I had this dress picked out there. I was just waiting for him to get the call.
And so he like ghosted her.
And he never did. And whenever he got off the show, he never reached out. Or he just like pretended it never happened. That makes me wonder if he won. Because if he got exiled, and it's an easy, especially if your ego's bruised, even if he did start feeling some feelings for Hannah, that's an easy phone call to make, and then play it off like, oh, it was for TV. He could like keep his same script for her and be like, hey babe, I'm really like, I went far, and like, but yes, you were always on my mind. He never called, so it makes me wonder if he won, and if he did won, wow. What is Hannah?
You mean Luke doesn't win the whole damn thing?
I'm really.
Can you
what are your thoughts on Luke?
So.
He's a psychopath.
Yes, I couldn't help. He totally
is. I don't know exactly like what his mental health is, but I really feel like there is some lack of self-awareness, obviously, and like social awareness, obviously.
Do you think that possibly just comes from? I always think that there's some people that are like here for the first time, like don't have any wisdom when they're born, and there's something. Because I
think he's easily coachable.
He's easily coachable.
I just want to say, and then I'll leave it. This was the first, and I've been very critical, from the beginning. This was the first episode. I slightly wanted to not necessarily defend him, but there were moments where I was like, he's saying all the wrong things, but he doesn't know what to do, but his sincerity is more sincere than the rest of the guys. It seems like I don't think
he's sincere.
I think that the other guys are sincere,
he thinks he is.
But I think that his feelings are stronger possibly than the other boys. Men.
I mean,
I think he just has no groundedness to him. Like there's no rationale that like you don't have to be in love with this person immediately. I think he is like he sees things very black and white.
Totally.
And then he'll say something, and then she'll go no, and he'll go, "You're right, no."
Yeah, he does that all the time.
And I'm like, do you even hear what you're saying at all?
Very little conviction.
It's a very like stunted and like a childhood boy 100%. Kind of mentality that he's literally saying the things he thinks someone wants to hear, and they say, "I don't want to hear that," and he goes, "You're right, I said the wrong things," and he's like going through this like Rolodex, almost like a deck of cards.
Totally.
That he's just saying a bunch of stuff that he thinks makes sense, but that's like so not genuine. There's something so completely disingenuous about his character.
And I think that like you said, I think that comes from him not having any grounding.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and Suge's been we've been back and forth, and for the first time I wonder if he is savable, in the sense that maybe the show would be a very humiliating experience for him. And I can't, this was the first episode that made me wonder, is he open to learning?
Right. Is he capable of that?
Is he capable of actually, is Luke P did he just grow up in a very isolated world?
That's what I feel like. He doesn't have many friends. He doesn't understand like human socializing.
Was he the king of his small little world?
Was he homeschooled?
Yeah. Has he ever been in love? Probably not.
Right.
Like, and he's losing his mind.
Yeah.
Like a person who is in love for the very first time. And it's delusional because she is maybe not feeling the same passion. Even in this scene where he's like, I know we're going to be together. She's like, I don't know, dude.
He's like, no, this is not going well. And he's like, you're right. It's not going well. It's my fault. She's like, yeah, it's your fault.
But like he's saying all the wrong things. But I like this episode, he was like trying to do the right thing. He didn't say the right. He said, like, for example, here's what I think. I mean, in having been this experience, and I've said this before, every season there's only one and maybe two cast members that develop real feelings. Yeah. They're emotionally invested. And I'm not saying these guys are necessarily full of shit or disingenuous, but there's so many guys who I like her, she's nice. Like, I loved what Tyler said about the naked bungee jumping. He's like, she's experienced. He was very pro woman. That was great, very supportive. And I'm not trying to take anything from what Tyler said, and I think he likes her, but I couldn't help but watch a guy who isn't truly invested. Like his low stakes for Tyler. Tyler's playbook is he's very pretty. He shows up, compliment. You're strong woman. It's like he's killing it. He's just big, but I don't feel like he's afraid of anything he's going to lose. I don't feel like he's really...
I think he knows that he shows up well on camera and that they can't even edit him to look bad. And so as long as he keeps coasting on being kind of charming, that's all he needs to do.
But more importantly, if Hannah sends him home at any point, I think deep down he knows he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because he will be. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying in life, outside of the show, when we fall for someone, and not to make excuses of doing stupid things, we lose our minds. We get a little crazy. And... last season on Becca's season with Garrett and Blake, Garrett and Blake were both in it. And there were, if you go back and watch that season, you'll see moments of them kind of losing their mind. Yeah. It's twitchy. Sean and I and Caitlin, for as much as Sean and I didn't get along, it's funny, you watched Caitlin's season.
I didn't watch
You didn't? Okay. No. Well, Sean, for those people who did, Luke P's edit, Sean, I would argue, the difference between Luke P and Sean's edit is that everyone in the house hates Luke. Yeah. And when I showed up on Caitlin's season, I'm friends with all these guys now, probably closer to them than Sean is. But I came in as the perceived bad guy and showed up late. So everyone was like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? Mm-hmm. And they all thought Sean was fine. But had those guys hated Sean, it's very high school in that world. And so, but Sean had the jealousy and had the possessiveness. And in fairness to Sean, he truly just was falling for Caitlin, and he didn't know how to process this. And doesn't make it okay. But in defense of Luke P, that's what I mean. Whether he's sincere or knows what he really wants, he believes that Hannah is the love of his life because he doesn't know any better.
Well, yeah,
he's not taking anything away from Hannah.
No, he's also in this incubator where he has nothing else to do and no other distractions other than to only think about getting this girl 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In real life, we have phones, we talk to our friends, we get advice, we get perspective. He has no perspective other than a producer that's coaching him to look crazy on camera.
Yes, and he doesn't even have the support of the bros around him.
Right.
He's so isolated, which will make him go crazier and crazier.
In fairness to producers coaching, Luke P is capable of being crazy on his own. They're not molding.
I'm not saying that they would do very much work for him.
Again, it's simple things like, what would happen is if Luke P is mad about something, the naked bungee jumping, he probably has a producer being like, yeah,
talk about
that would make me mad too.
Yeah, exactly. Someone that is not conspiring with him, but that is validating his opinions on
Meanwhile, there's probably a producer going to tell you, be like, yeah, it sounds a little sexist.
Yeah.
And again, sounds like Tyler didn't need to be coached to say that. I don't want to take anything away from Tyler because what he said was awesome. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting, and I talked about this, what if Luke P had just simply said, because his intentions were actually good when he pulled Hannah aside. Imagine if Luke P pulled Hannah aside and said, hey, Hannah, I got to be honest. Mm-hmm. Garrett came back from his date. And he told us about it. And I know earlier this season, you told me to be more real with you, and you told me to just let you know and communicate with you. So here I am. And I heard about the date, and I don't know how to, I don't want to judge you. And I know that you're going through this experience. And honestly, I feel very vulnerable. I feel very insecure. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to shame you. Cause that's what he did, is shamed Hannah.
Yeah.
He told her what she did was wrong. That's not okay. But what if he just said,
bonehead mistakes.
Yeah.
A very curious choice of words.
Yeah. What if he just said, listen, I know this isn't a normal situation we're in right now,
right.
but obviously in a normal situation for someone I'm falling in love with, I don't know how to process like you getting naked with another guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, Hannah, but I just wanted you to know that if I'm feeling insecure or bothered by someone in a relationship, if we end up together, I just want you to know that I can communicate this with you and I can let you know how I feel about a situation so that we can talk through it. What if he just said that? He would have been like, everyone would have been like, oh, wow.
If he had let her know that his vulnerability is because he's developed real feelings for her, that makes sense, but he has no restraint, so he digs himself into these holes with his word use that gets him like in trouble that none of it makes. You can kind of like see behind his eyes the intention of the idea and the thought that he's trying to communicate, and the way he expresses it is just so poor.
Yes.
Well, he goes, what did he... and it's like, to your point, because he said, listen, I want you to know that if you do something wrong in a relationship, I'll have your back. Which in theory, I get what he's like, I'm a good guy.
Assuming that I've done something wrong, that we're going to work through this
Hannah's
right
like,
now.
oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you shaming me?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, it's not a normal world they're in, right? And he
also went to church.
Well,
there's a lot of church in this season. I haven't noticed in previous
I'm not
seasons.
a huge fan of that. Not to shame. I love God, but like...
Sure, I feel like there's a very southern hotspot of like the audience, and so they're really letting the audience with this like, Alabama girl that loves, the Lord and that sort of thing.
I just don't like the B-roll of using it.
No, I don't like it. It feels manipulative in that way. But I also, if he is actually like very religious, then there's a whole other set of like principles and values and standards that he probably is really struggling with.
Yes,
Did you ever grow up religious at all?
I grew up Catholic.
Okay, same.
Yeah, my parents are divorced, and then like after we got all of our sacraments and like got confirmation, they were like, you can choose whatever you want. So I don't abide by Catholicism anymore, but I don't have any other but respect for people that religion is their thing. But I also know that it's very rigid in the way that you're able to like love and perceive like relationships and that sort of thing, and it's very, very traditional. So he might be coming from just a super traditional upbringing.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to defend Luke P per se, but when watching it, I was like, what would 24-year-old Nick, who was at the
he's
time,
24
at the time?
That's impossible. He can't be 24.
He's 20.
Wait, why do you feel like that's
I feel
older?
like he looks older.
No, what's crazy is that like Hannah's young.
Obviously, like his mentality seems young and seems a little juvenile.
But he looks like a 27, 28?
Yeah, he looks more like close to 30.
All the guys are 25, 24.
That's nuts.
Even this episode, it's also, we learned that, I don't know, I can't, because Tyler in the previews, Tyler's like, we have a 5'8" villain. Yeah. And I was like, it made me wonder,
so slick.
is he really 5'8"? Because that explains a lot.
When you see him when he's by himself, he looks like,
could be a big
guy,
stocky, short guy.
And then when you see him in frame with someone else, you are reminded that he's a much shorter dude.
And that could explain a lot. It could explain a lot.
I don't think he has like ill intentions. I think he's just like so inexperienced with like relationships in this kind of world, obviously, which no one's coming in experienced with this other than Hannah.
I left this episode with some hope for Luke, in the sense that if Luke must not be listening to this because we've been really hard on him, specifically me.
He might be listening to every single second of every episode.
Maybe. If you're out there, Luke, I truly hope that this...
You guys got to get him on.
I hope this is a humbling experience for him, and I hope that he does a lot of self-reflection, asks a lot of questions about himself, and seeks out the world and other people who have different points of view from him, and like, because this could be hopefully a great experience for him, for someone who's only 24.
Yeah,
right.
I hope so too, and I will say, like, there's no chance that this is gonna end well. This is going off the rack. He's gonna scream.
He's only gonna get
probably
worse.
Gonna punch somebody.
Him screaming.
Yeah, but I want I just want him to know, if you are listening, we do see the good back there, and we are understanding. It's gonna get rough. You're gonna look bad, but
could always be
hope you
worse.
Come out on the
Do you
other side
think
okay.
Garrett did Garrett? Oh, can I also point out that there's a huge difference, and I don't know if this was a Freudian slip, or I don't know if this was, but there's a huge difference between saying I'm falling in love with you, and I'm falling in love for you.
Oh, who said that?
Which is what Garrett said to Hannah when he professed his love to her.
I'm falling in love for you.
Yeah, he goes, I'm falling in love for you.
I'm doing you a favor. I'm falling in love for you.
She just nods. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
I think
and that's such a huge difference when you really think about it.
I also think everyone's checked out. I think no one is actually listening to anyone else's words coming out.
Doesn't it seem like that? I know.
I think Hannah's canceled the cocktail party, whatever, 3 times in a row. I have a theory that she secretly is not super into any of the guys, like, fully, and that they had to do that clip show bullshit last episode because she clearly stated, like, I don't like this process isn't working for me. And then they added this whole other half of the episode to, like, have her say that she could still make it work.
It really drove it home.
It feels like
at
a
the
PR
end.
thing.
She's like, my husband is in the room.
That felt like
that
such
was
a
planted.
shoehorned publicity thing so that Chris Harrison didn't have shame on his shoulders for forcing a girl to do something she's clearly said she doesn't want to do anymore.
I agree.
That is a big statement.
I scrubbed through I was so mad. I was like, this is how the whole other half of the episode goes?
Here's what I think. I think that's true, except that Luke P is her guy.
Clearly,
you know, like she's realizing it can't be Luke P because Luke P has his problems and flaws, but he's the only one, at least right now. She likes Tyler. She likes making out with her. She likes Pete. Jed's sweet. They make her feel good. They're complimenting her. They're all sweet guys. But I even think Hannah senses that Luke truly, and they're probably talking about things they're not airing. And Hannah's mentioned religious conversations, and Luke is so much far ahead in like an intangible way than the other guys. Yeah. But yet she's just like, I can't pick you. And so it's wild to kind of think about.
Sorry to change the subject, but you got me thinking about that. I don't usually like seeing kissing on TV for some reason.
Yeah, no, I get, for whatever reason, this whole season, I have to like fast forward. And it's just, I don't know why it's so cringy to me.
Same.
Oh, Hannah's really going for it. Hannah's a little hornball.
I know.
I think she's a little drunk in that group date, though.
Yeah.
But I will say, as much as I don't like kissing in anything, movies, TV, the whole thing, stop kissing. But when they were making out in that steam room, in the sauna, I was like, damn. I was like, where's my magic bullet?
All right.
But it also
Let's blend some shit.
It was also so awkward because you could, hearing the noises of like them adjusting their body on this like wooden plank was so not hot at all.
And the squishy sweat. Yeah, I know.
I was like, this is so awkward. This is one of those things that like in a romantic comedy in theory is like very sexually driven and all that. But like in actual reality, they're like awkwardly trying to manipulate these like sweaty pieces of wood. I was like, this is so uncomfortable.
Now take out the music and insert a bunch of cameras and audio.
That poor cameraman that had to sit there and film the whole thing. I was like, I kept thinking about that person.
They weirdly, I mean, they
love it.
They love, I mean.
I love that they clearly backed up out of the room and then made it look like they were spying from like a slit in the door. I was like, this is so awkward.
Great camera work. It really is.
I mean, they should win an Emmy.
Have you ever dated a Luke P?
Dated someone like a Luke P? I don't think. I think my first college boyfriend was like a Luke P. He was just like very inexperienced and was like attractive to me on a physical level, but like emotionally just like wasn't. Like,
did you find yourself?
We dated for 2 years.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah. And did you find yourself kind of trying to guide him out of that?
I kept trying to convince myself that there's more to this person, and that the deeper we get into our relationship, and the more I get to know him, and also I was 19, so I'm finding out who I am as an adult. So it's kind of like we're on a path together, and then by 2 years later, you're like, ooh, I put a lot of time into this, and this is really all it is. Okay, I gotta go.
Did he make you? Did he? I think a lot of guys, he's like the shaming of like the condescension of like, listen, I'm gonna forgive you for being the way you are because I love you, and they make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah. Also, I was like very, very shy when I first went to college, and so it's like that was my person. And then he broke up with me to try and date someone else, and I felt so infuriated that I'm like, "You're breaking up with me?" Yeah. And then we got back together like 2 months later because like my own sense of confidence was wrapped up in this person.
Wow.
But then I met another guy that I dated for a while that was like the love of my life. That I was like, "Whoa, there's like a brave new world that someone like this can exist." And I kept convincing myself that this person had all the qualities that I wanted, even though like
what happened to the love of your life?
He's married now. Yeah. It was like the perfect relationship at that time in my life, like the college.
So he's not the love of your life.
No, at that time he was. Yeah. It was like the transformative.
He was one of the loves of her life.
Yeah, we went on like a path together, like finding ourselves together. It was really, yeah. And then it was kind of this like very adult, mature, like we're on two different paths kind of breakup situation. It was very, very surprisingly adult.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because so many people are like hung up on you can't change a person, you can't change, which is true, but you absolutely can have empathy and patience and take the time to be like, what Hannah's doing really with Lukey P of like, what you're doing is wrong and it's coming out this way. And like, you shouldn't say that to me. Like it is, I think, to keep the world turning in a positive way, we do need to take those times to not necessarily think of it as teaching them, but teaching them a little bit or like helping them see the light. Like with Lukey P, somebody I hope is loving and patient enough to be like, yo, you're being a fuckhead.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it's quite healthy because like we've all been there. And Grace talking about her, like it's not necessarily a healthy situation for Hannah. But she seems to be doing good. First off, and I will say, I can't find her love for Luke P endearing.
I wonder if her attraction to him is based on the fact that she knows that emotionally, like her emotional intelligence is more developed than his. And there's a safety in knowing that like I'm a little bit further ahead of this guy and everyone else is a little bit like more of a risk because they are their own entities, and this guy I see a lot of like my younger self. Do
you find that I've had other women friends talk about describe a situation similar to like take Tyler for example, right? Here's this guy everyone finds him to be kind of the heartthrob of the season.
Which one is he?
Tyler, he's the dancer, construction guy.
With, like,
he
really
has a very traditional Hollywood face.
Yes.
He was the one who's like, hey, Hannah's experiencing things, man. He's super chill and relaxed and whatever. And he comes across as very confident. And but like, do women sometimes, it's like, oh, he's hot. They think he's hot. They think he's great. But does that sometimes make you feel insecure and therefore you don't want to date them? Because the way you kind of describe Hannah, where it's like...
I think there can be an insecurity about someone seeming independent versus confident. I think you had to develop the trust that they're going to want to be in the relationship with you, even if they seem like super independent.
But is that like the way you describe Hannah's... what might attract Hannah to Luke P? I've heard this kind of similar, like a relatable situation where... Because Hannah feels in charge and empowered, like
he's never gonna leave her, like
or that she can be like, hey, like you can't do that. She feels confident, and not that she's demonstrated this with the other guys.
Sure,
but does like Tyler need her? Does Hannah feel like a Tyler of the world will be fine without her?
Right.
Where Luke P makes her feel like
she's needed.
She's needed. I remember my very first girlfriend. We broke up a bunch of times, and one time she broke up with me. And there was a particular breakup where I struggled a lot, and I just didn't want to let her go. And we broke up a bunch of times. And in this particular breakup, she started dating someone else. And I remember we ended up getting back together. And she said to me at the time, and I didn't care. I just wanted her back, so whatever. At the time, and I was like 22. She said, "I didn't feel like you would be okay without me," and that was like part of the reason getting back together with me. And I didn't, what that meant at the time. But it was more like, but that made her feel good about us.
Well, it makes you feel safe because she knows you need her and she might not necessarily need you. So like she's not going to get her heart broken in this.
We all agree that you shouldn't need each other.
Right.
Right.
But I'm saying like
you can want each other.
But talking about relatable situations that as we've fallen in love as we've been in. I mean, when I ultimately ended that relationship, she took it very hard because basically our whole relationship for the most part was her calling the shots. Deciding when she would come and go, and finally I was like, I'm done, and it was like,
that's shocking to her, I'm sure.
Whoa!
You're done with me?
Yeah, you're done with me, and she was, but I finally, that took 6 years, but yeah, we weirdly. I don't know if it's a younger thing. I don't want to like age shame the youth, but like I just know that what we describe as love and what makes us feel confident in these relationships kind of sometimes stems from our own insecurities of feeling safe. I mean, I still describe when people ask me what I'm looking for. Ultimately, I just want to feel safe. Safe means a very different thing when I was younger of like safe to be myself, safe to like say, hey, this is me. Can you help me be a better person, without the other person going like a Luke P does to Hannah? Yeah, I'm gonna accept that you suck, as opposed to saying, I actually kind of think that's endearing, babe. But like, you can, like, sure, if you want my feedback, don't do that again.
Yeah.
That kind of safety, but
Gracie. I'm just gonna call you Gracie.
I love it.
Great. What's your love journey like right now?
Oh, I'm in a relationship right now.
Oh, great.
Yes, it's very good.
How long has this been going on for?
About 4 or 5 months now. Yeah.
It's new. Are we still in the honeymoon phase?
We're still in the honeymoon phase, but we've known each other for years. We've both worked in like the digital space for years. And so we've like been kind of buds and friends and in the same like social circles for a while. And both of us were in separate relationships, and like he went through a divorce and I broke up with like a long-term situation. And so it's just really timing. It was kind of...
When did you... Because I've never dated a friend. It hasn't happened for me. But when do you kind of like... How does that crossover happen?
Yeah,
like, is it like a touch under the table?
This is the first time that I've dated someone that I've like been friends with for a while. So it was kind of, we had hung out a few years ago, kind of like randomly in between like us in different relationships, and then kind of got into 2 separate longer term relationships. And then at the end of last year, just sort of like reconnected and had both like really grown in like the previous relationships that we were in, and like just really kind of emotionally connected in a new way. And it was kind of like seeing someone that you've seen for a while, but then seeing them like in a brand new light, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, you've been like this the whole time, and I just didn't like invest the time to get to really know you. And so it's been really great. Yeah.
Who made the first move?
He messaged me at the end of last year. I think he, via social media, could glean that I was newly single. And so we kind of hung out randomly, got drinks at the end of last year, and then kind of like went from there.
But was it were you like, oh,
yeah, it was one of those like, oh, this will be another like casual hang situation, and I want to date around for a while. I don't know if I'm like emotionally ready to like invest into another like relationship. And then we sort of started hanging out more, and it was just kind of this like, okay, let me see how this goes. A lot of times in my previous relationships, I get very like in my head planning exactly how it's going to go, or like I see someone that I want to date and I'm like, it's you, I'm choosing you. And it's way more just like sort of control-y oriented. And this was really nice because it's kind of more of a free-falling situation where it's like, I'm not going to plan that anything is going to happen. I'm just going to kind of let myself be present and enjoy this and sort of assess as it comes. And it ended up being like really great, kind of like saying yes to a situation rather than assuming that this didn't work out before, it's not going to work out this time.
What's your favorite thing about him?
My favorite thing about him, lots of things. I think he's gone to therapy for years, and he's like very, very intelligent emotionally and really amazingly communicative.
Best.
Yeah, I've never dated someone that's so grounded in the way they communicate. And I have a tendency to be really terrible at communication. And
really?
So it's...
I don't know you that well, but you
clearly, you didn't get to that card.
2 successful podcasts. I mean, you're a talker.
I can talk for sure, but like communicating like feelings that are not necessarily always the happiest situations, I have a hard time like that sort of interpersonal stuff. And he's just very patient with that, which is really nice. So it's kind of this new sort of like education without feeling like I'm being taught anything, just sort of like experiential.
Isn't that? Yeah, that's
beautiful.
For me, that's the hard part to find. I don't know if that just is a character thing that comes from maturity and experience.
I think so. I think that's why, like, if we had started dating like this 2 years ago when we hung out, it wouldn't have been the same way because we both kind of grew up and learned a lot about ourselves in the last couple of years. And so, like I said, the timing of like how we've developed has just been like really in sync, and it feels very mutual. It doesn't feel like someone has more like experience or power or intelligence or anything. It's just very like a real equal infatuation.
Surface really level question.
Yeah.
Before you guys started dating and you were just friends, did you objectify him at all? Were you like, he hot?
I always thought he was attractive. And then my best friend, I remember he like grew facial hair, and she like made a comment one time that he was like looking very attractive with his beard, and it like opened my eyes in this new way because I guess I was just like not really paying attention. And then I was like, yeah, actually he got really hot. When did that happen? I've always
glowed up.
Yeah.
You tease him about that? Like
a little bit. Yeah. I think that's the nice thing is that he's got a great sense of humor. So it's a nice like safe space to be able to like poke fun of each other, but not in a malicious way at all. And like just trying to make each other laugh is a real treat.
Does he keep the beard on?
He does. He does.
It's funny when a man discovers a beard.
When a man discovers the facial hair that works for them, right?
You know?
It's like when a girl gets the right haircut. And then all of a sudden she looks a little different.
Do you know what his favorite thing about you is?
I think, I don't know. He seems to like a lot of things about me, which is very helpful in this situation. I think he is much more of a planner kind of person, and I'm much more of like, someone once told me that I like Mr. Magoo my way through life, which is like extremely accurate. Like I just sort of wander around to get to like from point A to point B with like no real like
structure.
Yeah. And so I think that it's a good balance.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I have a good sense of pretending that I'm really put together. I mean, my sweatshirt says well-intentioned mess, and that's exactly who I am at my core.
You're like a very successful like.
Sure, I mean,
how would you describe yourself? Because you're acting and YouTube, and you got a podcast, and
I'm a creator in entertainment. That's always like a $64,000 question. I'm sure you don't also know. I'm a personality on the internet. I guess.
You're doing a great job of it.
Trying to.
But
yeah,
that takes some dedication and drive.
I think I have enough capability to like get things done, but I also am like kind of a whirling dervish in a lot of aspects of my life. And he's got a lot of like organizational skill sets that I don't have. And so it's a really nice, like compatible balance.
I think that's the best. I have a friend, we go to Europe or whatever, we're traveling. Yeah. And I'm just the duckling. I'm like, wherever you want to go, you just let me know the schedule. And always people are like, don't you have interest yourself, sugar? I'm like, sure, but I mean, you can show me some other cool shit and I don't have to plan.
Exactly. I hate planning. I think that's what I told him. I was like, the hottest thing you can do for me is make a decision because I hate being the one to have to make the decision because I truly am not like bending to you. I don't care where we eat. I don't care where we go.
And you hold to that because there's...
I'll say like, I don't want Italian food. That's my only parameter.
That's fine. Because the kind of the joke of that is, babe, pick wherever you want to go.
And then you choose something and then you go,
no,
fine.
Yeah, anything but that. Okay, well, what about...
No, but see, I'm really genuinely open to that sort of thing. And that he was always on guard about that, being like, are you really that way? Or
I can do this, but like, honestly, I'll get annoyed.
Right, like communicate with me. I'm like, this is me communicating. I really don't care. I would just love for you to choose what we do tonight. That would be great.
Does he like...
Sometimes I choose. Like
that'd be stressful.
Yeah. Well, we like to have fun and
because I'm also not the planner.
Yeah. Well, I like planning like dumb fun dates, like that sort of thing, like going to medieval times or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like medieval times.
I love dumb theater shit like that. I love wrestling. I love medieval times. I love all that kind of dumb stuff.
That stuff is I think it's
fun.
One of the big keys. Yeah. I'm not in a relationship, but I imagine it's like one of those great keys. And often I'll be like, oh my God, I wish I could go to medieval times. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't go alone.
You can technically.
Go alone. Go.
You might find someone there.
We had an episode about...
Me and some lowly squire.
We had an episode about loneliness, and I think that would be a great personal test. I did go to dinner by myself the other day after our episode of loneliness because I talked about how when I moved to Chicago, I gave myself permission because I didn't know anyone. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm normal to do this because I don't know anyone, as opposed to having friends in a city and having that not be available and then feeling like a loser.
Yeah.
And yet I was like, I was about to go to an event. I was waiting for them. I wasn't ready yet. And so like, I'm just going to go grab dinner at this like sit down restaurant by myself. It's one of my favorite restaurants. Quick plug, Marvin in LA on Beverly. And I had a little pork chop and some bolognese. And ate it, and then I went to the event and was by myself at the bar, and it felt quite good.
Congratulations!
Yeah,
so medieval times. Medieval times.
Also, medieval times is a great like first date situation because it's an activity, it's a show. You're not stressed with just having to make conversation with each other. It's a little expensive.
Maybe can I say third date because you do want to be there with them. Like if it's your first date and you're halfway through and you're like,
it's not a first date, but I think as early as maybe second, but. Definitely.
Yeah, if you know that you can spend a consecutive couple hours. Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to say it can't be a first date, but I think two people, you have to really read their excitement.
Yeah.
You got to almost acknowledge and say, This might sound crazy,
Yeah.
but
What if?
what if? And coffee is also an option. But what if
I have 2 speeds.
I have
coffee or 6 hours
medieval
of
times
old men on horses?
For the right person, it really could be,
Yeah.
we got married friends and this is how we know each other. They went camping on like the second date and now they're married. So like,
Yeah, I've done
if
that
you
before.
if you feel it, like,
Yeah.
I
shoot
would
the
go
shot,
camping with anyone. Stranger, whatever. Great.
Yeah.
Take me camping.
well, Grace, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Are you down
Yeah.
to answer some fan questions, save some lives, and hopefully try not to fuck them up?
Yes. I am down. I am nervous, but I am down.
You're nervous. Why?
I mean, you want to only provide help for people. And from hearing a little bit off record before we started, these like can get intense.
It can be sometimes.
Okay.
We
we
do our
got you.
best.
We're a team.
Okay,
We're going to do
we're
this
doing it
together.
together.
I'll take charge and we'll go from there.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
Hi, Liza. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Nick. Shug is here, and
Hello.
our good friend Grace.
Hi.
Um,
Hi.
how can we help?
All right, so I have a question that I feel like I need a unique male perspective
I'll
on.
do my best.
Wow.
Ooh, excellent.
I am both male and some would say unique.
Okay.
Okay, so I am 35 years old. I am single, and to put it bluntly, I have no real prospects in sight. I have recently found out that I am sort of close to early menopause. I went through the steps of freezing my eggs. I had to do 2 rounds because I have a low egg count. And since then, my biological clock is ticking hard. I was always sort of the girl that said I didn't want kids unless I found somebody that I wanted to have kids with. And now I sort of feel like now that they're telling me that might not be possible, I feel like I need to take matters into my own hands. So I'm toying with the idea of getting a donor and just having a baby on my own. So basically what I need to know is from a guy's perspective or anyone's perspective, really, in a dating scenario, does that mean I'm giving up the idea of ever having a partner? Or like, what does a guy think of that? Is that like hard pass or like run away immediately or like it's better because there's no baby drama? What's the male perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a friend who recently asked me my opinion on a very similar situation. I think the answer to your question is there's no black and white answer, right? I certainly don't think it means you're giving up on finding someone unless you actually say to yourself, I give up on finding someone, then you haven't, right? There's someone for everyone, so to speak, right? Making this choice to try to have a child on your own, whether it's through the eggs you've frozen or a donor or adopting or all these other kind of big life choices that people consider, certainly will impact your dating life. That it would be naive to think that it's not going to impact it in some way, shape, or form. But I think what's important in these situations to look at is, who's the type of person you want in your life, right? And if you want to be a mother and you want someone who accepts you, and I don't know how old you are, if you want to share that or not, that's entirely up to you. You're 35?
Yeah.
Okay, you're super young. You're like early menopause? Really? Is that a thing? Early
Yeah.
It happens to some
I'm
women,
learning.
yes.
Okay, interesting.
So my mother and my aunt both went through menopause at 42.
Interesting.
So-
Oh, you can do it that early. Okay. Well,
So
I've
I
learned something.
decided to go get it checked out. And basically what they told me is like, I have like maybe a year before it starts.
Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, listen, and you really want to be a mother.
Now I do.
Okay.
Now that they told me like, you can't.
Sure. Well, I mean, I maybe kind of think about that a little bit more, but I mean, I'm sure you want to be a mother, but like the idea of wanting something because you were told you can't have it is certainly something I would, think a little bit
Investigate.
more about and kind of dig deep. But this is all about prioritizing what's important in your life. It really comes down to that. And so life is about choices. Life is about sacrifice sometimes. But you can certainly have, in this situation you're caking it to, you can be a mother and you can find someone. There might be a period while you're going, if you decide to move forward with having a child on your own, there might be a period, and maybe you don't even want to try to actively date during this period, of which you're going to maybe take a time out from dating because you're going to get pregnant and have a baby. And so that might make dating more complicated in that situation. That doesn't mean you can't. And that doesn't mean you might meet a guy. I think in that situation, focus on what you want, and kind of like dating, whether you're trying to get pregnant or going through early menopause or you're 22, sometimes things happen when you least expect it, type of thing. So I think as long as you're open to it, don't give up. I think it's important in this situation not to tell yourself that you can't find anyone. I think it's important to tell yourself that you won't find anyone, not to tell yourself that, because that energy you give off and that you're unavailable, I think that will project and people will notice that. But I think you just have to be prepared. I wouldn't be defensive about it. I think if you make this choice, you should be confident in your choice and you should be proud of that choice. And I think when you project that, it will attract the type of man I'm assuming that you want in your life, and someone who wants to be a part of that. Maybe it's a guy who is in his early 40s, who's been married and divorced. Maybe he has a kid or two. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. There's so many different people out there in so many different situations. But I think a lot of this is this is a exercise of kind of confidence and self-awareness and really knowing what you want and being steadfast in your decision, and then not projecting your fears and insecurities on yourself and onto the people you may want to date. That's my 2 cents.
It makes sense. I just think I asked my friends, and they're all like, of course, yes, do it. You'd be amazing. And I teach preschool. I'm around kids all the time. I do think that this has made me realize that is what I want. And I have to sort of come to terms with the idea that I might be choosing to have a family over having a partner. And in
the short term, it will have an impact. Sure. And your decision won't necessarily be without necessarily criticism or kind of ignorant opinions that people come across who might say something that offends you or makes you feel hurt. That's all possible, and you should prepare yourself for that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And I think what's really important is you to be confident. That's why I said confident in your decision. Yeah. So that if you do come across it, you really have to know what you want here. I don't think this is a decision you make that you're kind of I think I want this. Mm-hmm. I think you really have to want it. And you put it out there, and someone says, "Oh, so do you think you're going to find someone?" And you say to them and yourself, "Yeah, no, I'm this is really kind of separate than my dating life, even though it seems intertwined. I very want to meet someone. I plan on meeting someone. I will meet someone, but this is a decision I had to make for myself and my family, given my unique situation."
And also, it happens all the time. My sister had her first child and then got married. And I know lots of friends who have kids and then found their partner. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly not one or the other. And it sounds to me like you're making this beautiful choice that helps you to more and more become your authentic self. Mm-hmm. And you're making these choices for your life. And, this is for you. And it's so beautiful that your chances of finding your partner having made this choice of something that you want independently and on your own are probably higher than they are if you don't follow your heart's desire to have your child and to do all of the rest of it.
Yeah. I think it's focusing on the positivity of the things you can have versus the things you currently don't have. And that obviously, like Nick, you were saying, will reflect in your own personality and exude a certain type of confidence that will attract the type of person that you want in your life to make things better or not. You might find that you have kids and that is so much more fulfilling than a relationship. It's just being really honest with yourself and think about, especially the decision to have kids is so major. Really, really be honest about the positive things that you could get from it instead of making the decision because you might not be able to have them. Think what can you get versus what don't you have right now?
Totally. I totally agree with that. I was kind of going to say that. Two things I just want to echo on what you both said. From Shug's standpoint, I think it's my sister, for example, had her first child with a guy that she barely knew, and she has a lovely daughter, and then met her now husband and had another child later in life. The only thing that's unique about your situation is you're actively thinking about having a family without having a guy and knowing that that might, especially while you're trying to get pregnant and being pregnant, will affect your dating life. And it might, right? But then you're only 35. And if you were to do this in the next 6 months, you'll have hopefully a lovely child and be 37 years young and totally open to it. And for all the guys that may say that they don't want that situation, fine. That may open a lot of doors for guys who, again, maybe in their life they've had the kid, they don't necessarily want the pressure of having another kid, and you're like, I'm good. I fulfilled that maternal instinct. So, because I've seen that a lot with people like who are dating in their 30s and early 40s, where there's a difference between I still want a family because I don't have one yet, and they meet someone who's like, yeah, listen, I love you, but like I've already had 2 kids and like I'm good, right? So like you might open the door for some of those people who might otherwise you might have butted heads. So kind of to Grace's point, it might close some doors, it might open other windows. So you never really know. I think again, just echoing, be confident in your decision and then let the chips fall where they may, and just don't tell yourself it's a choice and you're shutting down your love life, because you're absolutely not. It's just going to change it. But I think you will be a more confident person giving yourself what your heart really wants, and then you won't project that not having it onto your dating life. So I think it's a great thing. You just have to be confident in it.
Yeah. I think the thing that I've experienced is I have another friend that did it, and I got to, as an outsider, hear what people were saying about it, and like, you know, nobody's ever going to date her.
Yeah,
like,
you're going to get that. Yeah.
And so, like, I got to hear people's unfiltered opinions, and now I'm like, crap, like, is that what everybody?
Yeah, but do you agree with their opinions? Do you agree with their opinions?
No, and I think I think that, you know, she's incredible for doing that, and I can justify all the reasons for wanting to do it. And like, you know, I wanted a child so bad that I did it on my own, and I'm an independent woman, and you know, I can support myself. It's more of just like, I envision a first date and going in and having someone think like, does she think that I'm going to step in as a child's father? Like,
you know,
without me ever asking.
I mean,
it's almost a good weeding out process. Like,
you don't want someone that's going to assume that on a first date anyway.
You won't be the only single mother out there trying to date. It's that's not a minority, you know, like it's out there all the time. But it's not to say, listen, people are bored and opinionated, you know, and they often like to say things that are judgmental and they're projecting their own insecurities. You're going to face that. And again, that's why I continue to go back to, this is about you being confident in your decision.
Yeah.
And when you hear this, you either ignore it or you push back and say, listen, you're entitled to your opinion and no judgment, but like, I'm very happy with my decision.
Yeah.
And I'm very confident I'm going to meet someone. And I have my family and my child. And I'm totally patient with waiting till I'm 40 or 41. I don't know. Like, you could have your lovely child and then at 44 meet the love of your life, and then hopefully have a 20, 30-year wonderful relationship with the right person, that the person who was judging you had a 4-year failed marriage. You know, like, you never really know.
Yeah. You could also freeze your eggs, never get pregnant, and have people judge you on the opposite end of the coin. So people are going to say things about everything constantly. It's just a matter of, like Shug said, like, do you believe what they're saying? Do you hold those opinions of yourself? So, yeah.
No, you get to show up on a date and be like, ooh, I got impregnated by a sperm. He's a scientist. He was in NASA. He's tall, dark, and handsome. My baby's got that. He speaks language. You know, like, that's a badass choice you're making.
Yeah.
And that's the big clit energy you walk into a date with.
I think it's important to find too the right friends when you're going through this who are supportive though, because there might be periods of like loneliness and feeling judged, and it's probably easy to get down on yourself. It's easy for us to be like, hey, be confident and be strong.
Yeah.
And you should be, but have a good support system.
And it sounds like you do have like a really valuable resource in your friend that you got to see firsthand go through this already, which a lot of people don't have that direct connection to someone that can really guide them so closely. So that's really valuable.
Yeah, I definitely have very supportive friends and family. So
Wonderful.
That's great.
There.
Great. Well, hopefully
All right,
helpful.
thank you so much.
Well, Timmy, thanks for calling in. How can we help? Can I first just compliment you on your background?
I know, I like that.
No,
Is it a
what's back
tapestry?
there?
Thank you.
tapestry. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was a tapestry or you're calling from some sort of northern exposure. Or...
No, I wish. No, it's just on my wall.
Well, Timmy, how can we help you?
Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can. In high school, I started dating this guy my junior year, and we dated all throughout until our senior year, the very end, when he took his own life.
Sorry to hear that.
So sorry.
We had, it's, I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess. But it's been 2 years since then, and I'm ready to get back out there and start dating again, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been talking to this guy since January, and I've found myself kind of questioning my loyalty to my last boyfriend, which is kind of weird. I know, because he's not alive, but I guess my question is, when I'm dating and stuff like that, how can I get over this feeling that I'm cheating on somebody that's not even here?
What is may I ask, like, what specific, like, what's the feeling you have, and it's like you feel like you're cheating on him? Where do you think it's coming from? Like, when does it come up?
Yeah, I do feel like I'm cheating on him. For example, like a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to this guy, and our messages kind of got a little bit sexual.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was all said and done, everything was good. I noticed the date, and it was like the half-year anniversary of my last boyfriend and I.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe not only am I talking to this guy, but talking to this guy in this way on this date. Like, what's wrong with you, Timmy? Like, how could you do that to him? I don't know.
Were you dating when he took his own life? Like, were you in the relationship when he passed away?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, first of all, I just want to say that, this is obviously a serious subject in terms of suicide and taking your own life. We're not professionals, so we're going to give you our opinion. And I think this is the situation where, and we've said this to other callers, there's nothing wrong with you like talking to a medical professional about this, about processing this situation and getting therapy about being in love with someone and being in a relationship with someone who took their own life. I think is a healthy thing to do. So that's probably my first bit of guidance for you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So think about that. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think you should be confident decision, and you can either be public or private about that with the people in your life about you doing that. But I think it's totally okay and right for you to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, listen, I can't imagine what, I haven't experienced that. So when I say I can't imagine, I mean, I truly can't imagine that. And so, but it makes sense that you would feel things like guilt. I mean, you were in love with someone, and it's like almost like an exercise about closure. Mm-hmm. And in terms of like, he took his own life, but in terms of a relationship, you never got closure. Not to make it about you in this situation, but the grieving process of losing someone, and then like in a normal situation where you break up and you talk about why did we break up or et cetera, what was wrong. None of this happened for you. And was this your first boyfriend? Was this the first love of your life kind of thing? But he was special, right? So like, in anyone's life, whether you are someone who takes their own life, that first relationship is that first love will always be with you for the rest of your life, even if even if you realize they sucked or you didn't like who you were with them, whoever they are, that first love will always be special to you. And the fact that you didn't experience any traditional closure and from a relationship standpoint would be my guess is why you're feeling this. It might be something you want to pressure, but I think it's important to know that, you're going to have to find closure, on your own. And again, through therapy might be a great way to help you do that. Be patient with yourself. Don't judge yourself. You need people to talk about this with, and we appreciate you taking the time to share this with us. And my questions with Nick, you're not the only one who's experienced stuff like that.
If I can chime in, I had an ex-boyfriend who was hit by a train and he died. And
were you dating?
We were dating. We weren't currently dating at the time, but we had dated and we were in a really beautiful relationship. And then we went to different high schools, and that year he died. So his first year of high school. And I think a lot of, very different from your situation, of course, but one of the things that I learned going through that was allowing myself to still be allowed to honor him and love him and bring up that relationship in the new ones when I needed to. So if in your situation, like that was a day that, you know, you maybe didn't see it coming and you forgot that that was a certain anniversary. And so then you're like, oh my gosh, look at these 2 things I did on that day, where you can maybe go to your new partner and say, you know, like, hey, there's going to be days that come up for me where I need to celebrate him and talk about my love for him and talk about, you know, how special he is in my life. And I think that you're allowed to still have him in your life by saying, like, you know, celebrating those times if you want to. Of course, you do want to have the closure, like Nick was saying, so that you can move on and fully 100% have your 2 feet in with somebody, but you're in a very unique situation where you need to give yourself permission to love that guy for as long as you need to. And I use love often in a very, very big sense of it, you know, like giving your heart to somebody new is so important, but also having that kind of beautiful overall love for this person who was taken from you in a very unfortunate and tragic way.
Can I ask you a question, Timmy? Does this new guy you're talking to, is he aware of the situation? Is he aware of your ex?
He does know, yes.
Okay. And how was his response?
He knows about it.
Yeah, how was his response to that?
Huh?
How was, like, what did he say? Was he cool? Did he handle it in a mature way? What was
Well, he stayed with my family for a while, and so he found out through my mom texting him about it.
Okay.
And like I don't exactly know how he feels about it. I don't know. We don't talk about it much.
And you don't have to like rush into that kind of conversation. I mean, the whole grieving process is completely individualized for everyone. The amount of time, like there's stages of grief that you probably are in the middle of right now. Obviously, you have a huge heart to be able to even like call in and ask a question like this, and to feel guilt and to feel possible shame for not, you know, being able to be in that relationship anymore. I think when you talk to a therapist, there's like 5 stages of grief that you go through. And the last stage is acceptance, which is probably the closest to like closure. I've heard a lot of people that have gone through miscarriages, that have gotten pregnant again. They oftentimes, if they're feeling guilt for not being able to honor the memory of the first child that they lost, they write a letter to that child and they put all of their heart and emotion and love and grief and pain and sadness into this letter, just really acknowledging the memory of this being and acknowledging that they had nothing but love, and the unfortunate events have got them to the place they are now, but just really, really putting it all on paper and like putting it wherever you want. You can bury it in a field, you can throw it in a box, you can put it in your attic, just allowing yourself to kind of write down and see your thoughts on paper, and like that might help in some sort of closure sense for you. And you can share that with the new person that you might want to hang out with, or it can be totally completely your own for you, because this really is your own grieving process. And just to remind yourself to like treat yourself with kindness in this situation. Yeah. It's going to take you however long it takes you to get forward.
I think that's great advice. I mean, regardless if a therapist says it or not, I think that might be something you might want to try in terms of just expressing that. I also just, again, I don't mean to sound condescending, but you are super young and that's okay. Yeah. And again, like when you get older, like you think back on your dating life when you're younger, and all I would say is you should date. That's good that you're getting out there. Don't necessarily put so much pressure on yourself in terms of like what you're trying to get out of dating. You're young enough that like just enjoy meeting new people and meeting guys. And I'm not saying sleep around and be super casual, but I'm just saying like just get to know a bunch of people and don't put so much pressure on replacing your ex or like falling in love again, maybe enjoy being single for a while. You can like say, I'm ready to get back out there and date, and at the same time, enjoy being single. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can actively date, not be promiscuous, and be single and enjoy your freedom. And I think maybe that's a good place to start without saying, I'm ready to date, I'm ready to fall in love and have a serious relationship again. And like, I think like Shook said, you are in a unique situation. And so it is unique. And you might be asking a lot of young men that you're dating to step up and maybe be mature beyond their years, to say, I'm not threatened by this. I totally get it. You should celebrate this. I don't understand because I haven't been there, but it makes sense. Like, you definitely want to find a guy who is that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're comfortable with it, I would encourage you to try to be, I wouldn't lead with it on a first date, but if you start liking a guy, I think it's probably important for him to hear it from you and say, do you have any questions? I want to be able to talk about this, so I want to also be able to answer questions you have, and I want you to feel comfortable asking me questions, because I know this is weird, but like, I might need to talk about it with you, so I need to know that that you feel comfortable talking about it with me, and start inviting like open communication early in your relationship, which, you know, is hard to do for anyone, and especially, and I know it was hard for me when I was younger. So it's just really about talking it through and being open about it. And I think this is a great first step.
On your own terms too. Yeah. Don't feel insane pressure to have to now completely open up to this new person that you're like experiencing right now. Like, really check in with yourself and make sure you're not, you know, rushing anything. And because it's okay to take as long as you need to be able to have those kinds of conversations with people.
Yeah. And that's what I mean about, like, just kind of maybe just go out and date with someone that you don't feel like you need to say it. But if you ever meet someone that it's like, oh, I like this guy and I want to see where it goes, then, you know, and it might be something you have to be ready for that someone else your age who didn't experience this might not, in a sense, because it is unique. Yeah. But it's just something that you I think it's good that you're acknowledging it, like Grace said, and it's good that you're not ignoring this feeling and pushing it down. And just find people to talk about it with, and maybe like a professional. I think that's totally normal and healthy. And you know, see where it goes with this guy. And if not, you're super young and have a whole life ahead of you, and you might meet the next guy who's the right for you in a year, 6 months, or 8 years from now, and you're gonna have a lot of fun in between. So
I guess that helps a lot. Thank you, all of you, for that. I definitely think I'm gonna start like maybe a journal or something and just start writing it down.
It also gets it out of your head. I'm sure you feel you have a lot of inner monologues going on with a lot of different emotions. So getting things, even it's really hard to talk to people about it. So even just writing it down kind of, you know, reduces the anxiety that might be surrounding these sorts of like tougher conversations. And so it's a good first step, and hopefully makes it easier moving forward for you to talk to people about it and normalize it sort of in a way for yourself to sort of like reduce the anxiety around it.
Just out of curiosity, when you were dating your ex and when he was with us, were there conversations about infidelity that you guys had, or was there any situation that
Yes, there was.
Okay, that might
he did.
So go ahead.
We did discuss, I mean, like, there were times when it was questioned, I guess, for both of us.
Okay.
And then he did end up cheating on me, but I didn't find out about it until after he was already passed on.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we discussed it.
That's why I asked. There's probably something there, you know, that you haven't processed, and again, maybe subconsciously you're equating it. You know, I don't know. Again, I don't know what it's like for you and how you process it and what you thought about his suicide or what compelled him to take his own life, but that makes sense to me, which is why I asked the question. But like, again, like, you know, it's just good for you to talk these things through with people, to get this out, because those are the things you're probably subconsciously hanging on to.
Yeah, I didn't actually think of that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's tough. Those triggers are probably going to pop up, and that's why it's so important to look inwards and really to sit with yourself and break down those emotions and allow them and do all of the rest of it. But honestly, you're doing so great because like Gracie said, you calling in and you really looking at this and saying, why did I feel that way? Look at all of this guilt. How do I cope? That is exactly what you should be doing. And
good heart.
You sure do. And look at that big bright smile. Yeah. You're doing so great.
Thank you.
All right, Timmy. Well, hopefully that was helpful. Just keep talking about it. Keep finding people you trust and feel comfortable with, and you'll get through it. So, thanks for sharing.
Also, your name is rad.
Yeah, you're a great name.
Oh, thank you.
And a great,
you guys have a good day.
And a great background. Well, thank you. You as well. Have a great weekend. Take care. Well, Grace.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really learned a lot. Well, I gotta go to the doctor and check on my menopause situation. I'm 33. I gotta go.
I feel I don't know. It's possible, but it's
definitely possible. It's not very common to go through it at 42.
It sounded like
but
from talking
it does,
to her,
it's
hereditary.
Yeah,
sounded like it.
Yeah, and for her, it's coming in even earlier. But definitely something you can check out. But there, I think that by 45, you sort of start passing over that hill. So
I think like for men, when they get into like their 30s, like they're not like it's not common to get like prostate cancer, but that's you don't even have to worry about it in your 20s. And fuck, once you get into your 30s, like it might be something if you have a family history of it or something. But wild. Wow. What else did you learn, Grace? We don't usually do this, but I like this like takeaway segment.
I learned that I don't know 3 presidents that are on Mount Rushmore.
And I learned that you're not a big history buff.
No, not at all. See? Not even a little bit.
See? The more the little
And I learned that Jed's got a secret girlfriend. All of it.
I don't know if he has a girlfriend anymore, but I do know he had a master plan. Does this make you more or less interested in the remainder of the season? What if he? Do
you think it comes up through the season? Do you think it comes up at all?
I don't.
Okay.
But if he won, and I think he's a potential, he's definitely top.
I mean, I'll probably keep watching. I just don't feel emotionally invested in any of the guys, really. So.
What about Hannah? You emotionally invested in him?
No, not really. But that's only because the context clues of her seeming like she's not into it. It's like, what am I rooting for?
Yeah.
It was when she was on our show. There was a caller, and I didn't like call her out for it because I didn't want to put her on the spot. But we had a caller that their question, it was, I'm 27, all my friends are married, I come from a small town, I feel like I'm fine with my singleness, I think, but my friends make me feel judged a little bit. Very common. And Hannah, to her credit, was just like, hey, girl, I get it. Like, I'm from Alabama, and like literally this happens to me. Like, this happens in my world at like 21. And she was like, I'm just in a very different place in my life than my friends. And I was just like, huh, really? Interesting for someone who we presume is engaged.
Right.
And so I found that really interesting. So I am very fascinated about the outcome of this season because no Bachelorette has not gotten proposed to or engaged to.
Well, that's the thing is they broke the rules last season, so anything can happen.
Sure, but but that was a unique situation where Cassie's dad shows up and gave her permission to leave, and then it gave Colton permission to be like, hey, well, I want to get engaged, but you don't want to, so let's just date. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, that makes sense. That's super
the
normal.
Most realistic thing.
Totally. But that doesn't happen. Like, again, every lead would prefer, it doesn't make it insincere, but it's just like there's a pressure that comes from Bachelor Nation. They're like, you're supposed to do this. This is how it works. And why don't you? And like, it's Bachelor Nation that usually applies this pressure.
Sure.
Because the few Bachelors who didn't, it didn't go well for them in terms of, and it wasn't just because of that, but that makes me fascinated. But like, if Jed is the last guy standing, he's good. There is that after final of the rose.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it makes for a great reunion special.
Yeah.
Or the guys tell all or whatever it is.
I will say this about Hannah with the story. If he's the last man standing, she seems self-aware and she seems brave enough to ask herself the tough questions and process. She seems emotionally mature.
Yeah, she seems way more mature than I assumed.
And her ability to trust her gut. So she's no dummy. If she's with Jed and these stories come out, you want to believe the person you're with, and everything would be fine had Jed broke up with this girl. I dated for 4 months. I got asked to be on the show. It seems shitty. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do this, and maybe I'm going to do this for my career, but I'm going to end this relationship that is still new in the honeymoon phase. I'm not saying that's like cool and it still sucks for the girl, but at least he's like, what a weird situation, but we're breaking up and I don't want to lead you on and I don't know what's going to happen. No, according to the story, he was like, wait for me.
Well, do you also think, because there's the clips of Chris Harrison saying that there's a guy with a ring ready to propose. I thought maybe that was like one of her exes from like her hometown coming back on the show.
That would be exciting.
Right? That happened with Becca, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, like that happened. That's what I'm less intrigued by that because it's such a...
It's a trope.
Oh, it's definitely Luke P's coming in with that ring.
You think so?
I know it. Oh, yeah.
He used his stipend and he got a ring.
Well, they in the preview, because the preview can be very misleading, they imply that she sends Luke P home, and then so like who knows? I don't. Those are just, you can only take so much from those, but I don't know.
We'll see.
Anyways, Grace.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you? You're doing great things.
Yeah, I have a podcast called Not Too Deep that you were on a previous episode of. It comes out every Monday.
Trolled The Rock a little bit.
Yes, you did. Very much. A lot.
Not a lot. I love The Rock, but I just think it's weird he laughs at his jokes.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that whole segment.
I love The Rock.
Who doesn't? And then I have a podcast with my best friend, Mamrie, called This Might Get Weird. It comes out every Wednesday. And then I'm just at Grace Helbig on all social media.
So fun.
Yeah.
How's YouTube life?
It's, it's hanging in there. It's like that cat poster. The cat just hanging from a tree.
Still here.
Yeah. It's still there as far as I checked this morning.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. For those of you listening, always thanks for sticking with us. If you like what you've heard, we would love your 5 stars. You can even give us critical feedback and still give us 5 stars.
Wow.
Don't you think?
That's incredible.
I don't know. Don't forget to check out Natural Habits at NHOils.com. First-time customers get 20% off.
Ooh.
Grace is a user of Natural Habits.
I am in fact a user. Yeah, I can attest that they are fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, thanks for listening. See you next week. Have a great week.